some intense hours since the announcement was made. It's been incredibly well received, and we feel that perhaps we hit a nerve by giving this prize, and I will talk more about that in a moment.
Yeah. As said earlier, the first thing on our program today is the diploma. The laureates prize consists, among others, of a diploma. And shall we unveil it first, and then you can tell us a little bit about the whole process and
well, before we unveil it, I would like to explain something before you see this diploma. It's a piece of art by the grand old man of Norwegian painting, Håkon Bleken, and we have, so far we only have used Norwegian artists for the diplomas, and we enter a 3-year contract with the artist. This is the 3rd year of Håkon Bleken, and why I wanted to make this little explanation prior to unveiling the diploma is that he has made this diploma before he knew who will be the recipient of the prize. Is there some symbolism that is relevant? We will see. We will see.
Just help you, or yeah?
Yes, please. Ooh. And as you hopefully can see, even on the last rows, it's a man and a woman embracing each other. Does that make peace? I hope so. Yes.
It seems like the woman is kind of helping the man, pushing him a little bit forward. Perhaps that's what
Probably.
Well, one can read that as well. But you also have another task today that I'm very much looking forward to. As I said to you, this is one of the highlights for me during the Nobel, because what you're going to do now is to tell us a little bit informally about the considerations that you've had in the committee. So, without further ado, I just give you the floor, and then I'll sit down for a moment.
Thank you very much, Kjersti. I will have to start with a disclaimer. I'm not going to say anything about the considerations in the committee, because that is, by the will of Alfred Nobel, secret. We are prohibited to reveal anything about our considerations. We write minutes from our meetings, where they are actually not that substantial, but they can only be opened 50 years, so I'm long dead by the time the public will know where we agreed and where we disagreed. But what we have agreed to this year was to give the Peace Prize to Narges Mohammadi. And I presume everybody present have already heard the presentation, so I will not repeat that. But if you recall from yesterday, I started my presentation with a very brief introduction of Narges and highlighting how she has been so extraordinarily courageous, how she has paid the highest price for her activism, and that she is such an incredible daredevil. Nothing stops her. And of course it is such a moment when you know that the person you are speaking about is in fact in prison. when I'm not in the committee, I'm a criminal lawyer. I've spent quite a bit of time in prisons myself. And I know that these institutions, where people are locked up, is where rumors find their way regardless. And it was only a few hours after the presentation we were informed yesterday by a statement that Nargis Mohammadi gave to the New York Times. She was informed and she made a statement that this would just put further demands on her, work harder, endure more, and take everything very seriously. She demonstrated the Nobel Peace Prize laureate qualities. And I also later in the presentation highlighted Nargis Mohammadi's track record that is so long. I would say 30 years of activism and engagement in issues that all are somehow related to basic human rights and rights for all, about women's rights, against the death penalty, activism in favor of basic democratic rights, etc. And she has a fantastic track record. But what perhaps connects her to be a recipient of the prize exactly this year is what has been going on in Iran since the death of Masha Jina Amini. And I saw Amini's mother yesterday made a statement saying that she fully supports Nargis Mohammadi. And there's an irony in that, because Nargis has this fantastic long track record of activism up until she was imprisoned for the last time in 2015. And then while she is in prison, a new spark is ignited. And as you know, that when it was announced that Amini had been killed in the custody of the morality police, hundreds of thousands of Iranians took to the streets, dominated by women, many men, dominated by young people, and partly very young people. I think 16-year-old Amini sparked something among people her own age. And as you know, these very young demonstrators have somehow started an activism in their own style. They started to demonstrate in schools, in schoolyards. They are, when the brutality against the demonstrators is too strong, you know, so many have been blinded by the police aiming for the eye of young people. And they do things like singing songs, taking off the hijab and taking it on again, making TikTok dances, using music, using culture, and expressing themselves as young people. So what does that have with Nargis Mohammadi to do with her? Very much, because there's another rumor that came very quickly to the in prison. People have again taken to the streets. Perhaps was it a revolution going on? Perhaps not. But even from prison, Nargis Mohammadi became a leading figure She assumed leadership, a role model, and an inspiration, because there was something about this movement that started in 2022. There were non-identifiable leaders, popped up here, popped up there, all over the country. Was that random, or was it a security measure, so that no leaders could be identified? And the person who took a leadership was the person with this undisputable track record and already in prison. What more could they do against her? So this is how the movement of San Zendegi Azadi became infused with exactly an older woman compared to the teenagers that were so active, that she became the role model for this movement. And this is what we have recognized. And then the San Zendegi Azadi is interesting in many ways. It's a fantastic slogan. I learned